What's going on, everybody? What's going on? How you feeling? How you living? How you living? How you living? What's going on? How you feeling? Woo! How you feeling? How you feeling? We miss you. We apologize for being 8 minutes late. We're a stickler on time. I apologize. What is going on? I am so ready to have this conversation with my Top Shelf Village. It's been a long time. My brothers have been killing it. They've been having some great, phenomenal conversations. I just want to let you know. So if you are looking at this live right now, please do me a big favor, check in with a friend, tell them that we're on live and direct. I'm so ready. What's going on, Shanique? What's going on, Joanna? What's going on? Let me give a little wave. Woo, Teray, my bro Todd. Yo, Todd, what's going on? Hope the grandma's okay. Just put a happy face, put something in the chat for me. What's going on? Let me get my questions ready. Let me get everything ready. If you are now in the chat, just do me a big favor. Send it to, because I want to have a Top Shelf Village conversation. Kimmy, if you could do me a big favor, just send me a live, please. Or send me an IG live, please. Just send me a request. What's going on, Frederico? What's going on? So glad you guys are able to come on. So glad. And if what we're going to try to do today is, if you do have some questions, please let me know. Write in the chat. We are talking about relationship. We're talking about friendship. We're talking about so many things. I want us to have a wonderful friendship, wonderful relationship, not with just our partner, but actually with ourselves in 2020, 2023. So please, if you have any questions, please put that in the chat. My awesome Kimmy, if you can send me an IG request, that would be amazing. No worries, just look on the bottom on the plus sign. Now I got a new phone. I just got the iPhone 14. No worries. Hold on 1 minute.
Oh my goodness, I was struggling for a second there.
No worries. We don't struggle here. We just figure it out together. How you feeling? You looking good. You looking good.
Aw,
Stepped
thank
out of
you,
the 90s. Okay.
Anthony.
I like the look of braids. Stella got her
Oh,
groove back.
listen.
I like it.
Oh, listen. Let me tell you, I have
You
3
got 3
kids.
kids?
You have to
You
do
don't look like
something,
it.
okay? Listen. Struggle bus. I heard you apologizing to everyone for being late. It's so not your fault. It's all my fault.
No worries.
Trying to get my babies to go to sleep, and my youngest is just kind of like, nope, not today. So, guys, let me apologize on behalf of Kim and not Top Shelf. It was all me.
Thank you for that. We love you. But one thing that
You're
my
so
brothers, they do
welcome.
so wonderful, we start any conversation, any podcast with prayer. So what I'm going to do is just pray over our amazing conversation today, because I know it's going to be powerful. And I know we have so many great Top Chef Village community in here today. So I want us to be able to not just have a conversation, but change lives. So, but before we can change life or have a conversation, we always have to put God first. Let's get the prayer room like that. All right, Lord God, I just want to say thank you for allowing us to come back just another day again and again. Lord God, I just want to say thank you to our Top Shelf Village, to our community, to my brothers. Thank you for Kimmy for coming on at 9 o'clock, knowing that she just had to put her kid to bed just a while ago, but she's still given the opportunity to show her gift. to show her life. Allow our conversation to change not just relationships, but people's lives. Allow 2023 and going forward to be the best fruit and labor of that person's spirit. Allow this conversation to change who we are, change lives through our voice, through our questions, through Top Shelf Village. In Jesus' name, amen.
In Jesus' name. Amen. Ooh. You just better pray.
My brothers can teach me how to go into prayer before we start any conversation. Before we do anything, we do a mental check-in. So I want to try something different today. Yeah. All right. So we're gonna do two things. We're gonna do a mental check-in. I'm gonna ask you from 1 to 10 how you feel. I'm gonna tell you my number. You're gonna tell me your number. I know you do this wonderful thing called mindful meditation. So we're going to do like 30 seconds. It doesn't have to be any music, but I want you to give your flavor. This is a one part of building who you are, building what you think you will want to have when it comes to mindful meditation, but building that relationship with yourself. If you ever listen to a podcast, if you ever listen to IG Live, one thing I'm always saying, best care to self-care. Self-care to best care. Whatever you want that to be, but I want you to realize 2023 and going forward is going to be your best year. And one thing that we can do is prayer and also mindful meditation. They can coexist. They can coexist.
Absolutely.
So we did the prayer,
100%.
and now we're going to do some mindful meditation. Yes.
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it. One of my favorite things to do is going to be really simple because we have 30 seconds. And naturally, because I want us to get to the hot stuff. But what's so powerful is just
and I make sure I brush my teeth.
And I think sometimes we don't think I love it. And so with the breath, it's like we don't understand. It's just it's something that we just do normally, right? We're not thinking about it. We don't have to tell our brains to breathe. It's just something that's done naturally. But what we don't do is pay attention to it. And so really quickly, I just want to teach you guys how to take a deep breath. And you can do this at any point. If you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling angry, frustrated, whatever you feel, you know, even if we're talking about like self-love, if you don't even feel that, just take a breath and allow yourself to be present with yourself in the moment. So I'm going to teach you guys how to do this really, really quick. So what I want you to do is to breathe in through your nose for the count of 4. Right? And I'll count, so you can just breathe with me, and then we'll hold the breath. Close your eyes, absolutely.
And if you're in the chat, I want you to do this with me. See how it feels. We're only doing 30 seconds. Let's build a mindful meditation IG Live right now. Put it 30 seconds to 1 minute.
Yeah.
Let's go.
It's been such a long day, right? And sometimes the best way for us to transition to the next part of our day so that we can focus and be intentional and present in the moment is just to simply take the breath. So what I want you guys to do is, I don't know if you guys can see me, but just hold your chest real quick. Just tune in with yourself. Feel your breath, feel your body, touch yourself. And I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to, when I start to count, you're going to breathe in for 4, hold it for a second, and then exhale for the count of 8 through your mouth. Okay, so in for 4 through your nose and out for 8 through your mouth. Take your time, and you don't have to be perfect at this. You don't need to be an overachiever. Just try your best, but you will feel something if you do it intentional, right? So hold your heart. And when we're talking about self-love, when you breathe in, it's almost thinking about breathing in life, right? So receiving something good, right? When we breathe, we need oxygen to flow through our body, to heal us, to do all of the things. And when we exhale, we're releasing things that don't serve us. We release the stress, we release the pressure. So I want you to have that in mind. And so when you breathe in, I just want you to say something that's powerful, maybe something that you need for yourself. For me right now, as a crazy mom, I'm just going to say, I am enough. That's what I'm going to say to myself in my mind. You guys can think about what you need to say. And when we breathe that in, that's what we're breathing in. We're breathing in, I am enough. Kim is breathing in that she is enough. And then she's exhaling everything that tells her the opposite, right? And we can even bring our imagination into this. The things that we don't need, the things that don't serve us, I want you to just imagine that thing just falling off of your shoulder and crashing to the floor, and it's just breaking up, okay? So we're using imagination, we're using our bodies, and we're also telling ourselves how wonderful we are all at the same time. So you guys are ready? Eyes closed. And I'm going to count for 4. Remember, hold it for a second, and then you're going to release for the count of 8, and you're going to feel something powerful. Okay, you guys ready? All right, let's breathe in. Let's begin. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. I am enough. And exhale for the count of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Right? Let's do that one more time. Breathing in for the count of 4, and the count of 8, we're going to exhale for the 8 counts. So when we start to say 1, 2, 3, you're breathing out through your mouth really slowly and really intentionally. Let's go again. In for the count of 4. Let's begin. 1, 2, 3, 4. Tell yourself that you're enough. Tell yourself that you're fabulous. Tell yourself that you're good. And now release for the count of 8 through your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
That was good. That was good.
How
That
did
was
that feel,
good.
guys? Y'all gotta tell me.
That
How did
was
it feel? That was
good.
really quick,
That felt
but how was that for
amazing.
you?
If you did that with us, or if you just know that you're
Did it?
enough, just put in the chat, I am enough. Just put in the chat. Let's get this. Let's get it right. Let's
You
get
are
it right.
absolutely enough.
That felt so amazing. And I
Tell
think one thing
me,
was
Anthony, what
amazing
was
that it
amazing
allowed me
about it?
to have that time and space for myself to transition into a conversation with you. It allowed me to think of all the negative things that before this chat came on, before we had this conversation. It's so, you know what? Allow me to be present. Allow me to realize who I needed to be to have this conversation. So my first question to you is, how do you build that mindful meditation with yourself? And the second part is, how do you have that relationship with yourself?
Well, mindfulness,
Yeah.
you can do it anyway, anywhere, anyway. There are mindfulness activities where you're just simply observing yourself, watching something or looking at something, observing something. There are mindfulness
Mm.
activities where you're just mindfully eating your food, right? So some,
Ooh,
you know, you're Jamaican, so
talk to
some
me
good
nice. Talk to me
oxtail
nice,
and some
baby.
rice and peas, you know what I'm saying? You know, you just slowly eat it, and you're using all of your senses, right, to just take it all in. And it just slows down the moment you can enjoy your meal. You know, you can do it with a partner, right? Because we're talking about relationships, where you're simply just looking at each other, observing each other, and taking in your space, your aura, all of it. And you're just looking at that person, observing them. You know, what is that look that you see in their eyes? What, you know, what can you smell them? Right? Can you see into their souls when you stare into their eyes? What do you see looking back at you? Are they lovingly caring for you without words by just looking at you? You can practice mindfulness anywhere at any time. And it will center you, it will ground you, it will remind you of your whys sometimes. It'll so many benefits to mindfulness. You should practice it, because I think a lot of people don't take the time to just touch in with themselves and just see how beautiful and amazing and wonderful they are. And mindfulness allows you to do that.
You said one thing that's very powerful, your why. What is your why? Why do you do this? Yes.
Why do I do this? Very selfishly, okay? I'm gonna be honest. Funny enough, guys, I mean, I would love to sit here and say, yeah, you know, I just wanted to see all the marriages of the world work. And I do. But really and truly, my why is because I want to see my marriage work.
Can you go more deeper than that? Like, that's powerful. Why is that?
So, context. I grew up, my earliest memories, my dad was an alcoholic, and I have two early memories. The first one is of my mom and my dad fighting, okay? And it wasn't a good one. I won't share all the details, but that's one of the first memories. God rest his soul. And then the other one is my mom kissing me every morning to wake up, every day. When the sun came up, I felt a kiss. That's how I woke up every day with my mom. And so, you know, you grow up in life, and we moved. I was born in Grenada. I moved to the United States in 1991. But guys, I don't have a picture of what loving marriages look like. But somewhere in that, I just always had a strong desire to love and be loved. But I just didn't know how. I just didn't know how. And so when I grew up, I fell in love. I had some really rough relationships, really tough ones. And then I met this amazing man who you know personally. And I just wanted to do my best in making sure that we could make it last. And so I went to school and I did the whole nine, just because it was just really important for me to have the skills and the tools and the knowledge on how to really make this love thing last. I am a stickler, love the Disney movies, but I know that happily ever after is not enough. Like it looks good. It's wonderful. And it's beautiful, and we all get all googly eyed and we love it, but it takes so much more than that. And so I knew that from a very early age, that it wasn't enough. And I was just so determined to make sure that I was going to be able to break some cycles, that I was going to be able to love and be loved in a way that me and my husband and my family feels it, lives it for real,
So,
you know what I mean?
And so, it was about breaking cycle. How do you have communication with your new friend, your new partner, or your husband or wife about trauma in other relationships that you had?
Yeah, I think it's important to just simply talk about them. I think, you know, when you're talking about traumas from past relationships, the reality is that they're there, you know. And I think sometimes we shy away from telling our partners the things that we experience because for whatever, we don't want to push them away. We don't want to scare them. We want to put our best foot forward and for them to only see the good in us. But naturally, that's a part of your story. And in fact, sharing your vulnerabilities will bring you closer to your partner.
That's so good. How do you define vulnerability? Because what I want to do, and one thing that we try to pride ourselves is really allowing ourselves about solution. So how do you be vulnerable if you don't know how to be vulnerable? Or you never, stop, because as Caribbeans, as Black men, we may not never saw someone be vulnerable. So how do you get to that space? Because like I always say, it's a language sometimes. Because when somebody asks you how you feel, that's one part of you trying to be vulnerable. So what is one way I can be vulnerable in my marriage, in my friendship, as a brother? Because I'm at a lot of places. I'm a brother, I'm a dean, I'm a husband, I'm an uncle. So how do I be vulnerable with myself? Because the first person I gotta be vulnerable is myself. And then how do I share that self with other people?
Yeah. Well, so here's the thing. Being vulnerable is not as easy as people think it is, right? So let me just validate all of the men, all of us strong Black women also, where we were really taught that we can't be vulnerable, or we shouldn't, because it's a sign of weakness. So let me just validate and not let you beat yourself up for having language for something that you didn't have permission to experience. You can't really put language to something that it wasn't allowed for you. Now, we can all be angry, right? Because that's considered acceptable. We can be happy because everybody wants to see you happy all the time, right? Because it feels good. It makes people feel good. But when we're talking about guilt and shame and sadness and fear, these are not necessarily acceptable emotions. And so it's not easy to just be vulnerable. It's not. There has to be a safe place first in order for someone to take the risk.
And how do you build that safe space? What are tools? Because like we've been talking about is a winning relationship, a winning marriage. How do you build that space to be vulnerable? What are some tips you've seen? Or let's do this. what are some tips you've seen in your as a marriage therapist? Tips you've seen and things that you're like, yo, real talk.
Mhm.
I don't really think you guys should do that because you're setting yourself up for
Mhm.
disaster. And guys, if you're in the chat, if you hear my questions,
Yeah.
please put it something in the comment. Please put something in the comment because we are a village and we want to build together.
Yeah. Yeah. So the question is tips to be more vulnerable. How do you get there, right? In
Mm-hmm.
partnership, in friendships, in relationships. Well, I think I would have to start at the beginning. I think one, oftentimes we give trust away when
Ooh.
trust is supposed to be
Ooh,
earned.
can you say that one more time, please? Say that one more time.
Oftentimes we give away trust when trust is supposed to be earned. And so a lot of, or
Okay.
trust is supposed to be earned and
Okay.
it's supposed to be proven, keyword, right? So oftentimes we get really
Yeah.
excited about any type of
Yes.
relationship because this really goes across the board, right? Relationships are relationships. They're just different dynamics and levels and, different things. I can talk about that for hours naturally, but but I think a lot of the times we get into relationships and we're so excited. We find someone that we connect with, but we trust too
Mm.
soon. We give away our trust. We give it away, but that person hasn't done anything necessarily to prove that they are a safe place. They haven't done anything really and truly to prove to you by way of consistency that they are a
Well,
safe place. And so which when we're vulnerable with someone that isn't a safe place, we're taking a risk, right? We're taking a risk for connection. But a lot of the times when we put that out there to someone who hasn't proven that they're trusted, that they can be trusted, right? We are hurt because now that person didn't have the capacity for whatever reason to be that safe place for us. And so we're in friendships, we're in relationships with people who haven't proven anything. And as human beings longing for connection, we're always going to chase after that.
that's
We're going to want that. I saw this image a couple of weeks ago on Instagram. I was watching, you just kind of watch different views, and it painted such a beautiful picture. So let me see if I can paint this picture for you guys. There was a young lady, and she had a baby in her hand. I would say the baby might have been like 2 years old, maybe. And there was a gentleman, and he was driving like a goldish SUV. Now, SUVs, they have the step up stool that you can kind of step up to kind of get into it. And, on the top, there's like this rail that maybe you want to strap something to it or whatever the case may be. Well, this gentleman, I don't know who he was to her, but he seemed to be really, really important. And he was getting in his car and he was driving away. Well, she didn't think about it. She just got on that truck. She held on to the top and she was standing on top of the step, and he's driving off and she has the baby in her hand and he's driving off. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm watching the scene. And then he sees that she's there and he stops the car and he gets out the car and he's trying to push her away from the car. But here she is desperately holding on for life because she doesn't want him to leave.
you definitely
Can you see
painted
that
that.
picture? Did I paint that okay? Okay. So of course you go to the comments because the comments is where it's always at. You want to hear what people are saying. And so many people were Louie, you saw it. Yes. So many people in the comments were just kind of like, oh my God, the baby. Naturally so. Absolutely. Then people were like, how could she be so irresponsible? So then people put blame to the woman, people put blame to the man. And all I'm looking at is a desperate woman who loves someone who is trying to leave her or abandon her.
Mm.
And she's not thinking in her right mind.
Mm.
Her amygdala is going off. And for
Mm.
dear life, she wants this man to stay with her because this man is supposed to represent
Mm.
safety to her. But he is driving away. He's leaving. And she's desperately holding on to that thing for dear life. And to me, that's the perfect picture of relationship. That at the heart, there is this need for connection. And when there is a threat of that connection being gone or you losing that connection, we as humans, we just can't do it. So we will desperately do anything to hold on to
So when do
anything,
you know
even
what
if
to
it's not a good
quit?
thing for us.
There's a question in my I put up I put up a question like, what do you ask a marriage therapist? And someone asked me the question, when do you know when to quit?
So here's the thing, because a marriage therapist like myself will never tell you it's time to quit, unless now this is a very abusive relationship, right? And
And
there is physical abuse, financial
verbal.
abuse, emotional abuse, all of the things, verbal abuse, all of the things. In those cases, I say absolutely not, absolutely not, right? But people, they don't necessarily take advice, nor am I supposed to give you advice. Okay, I would say if it's an abusive situation, that's a no-no. However, there are a lot of people in wonderful relationships that don't know how to relate. So I would say before you call it quits, call someone like me to kind of help you work it through, because naturally we weren't taught how to do relationships. And so you can have two wonderful people, but just don't really know how to connect. And like I said before, I think a lot of the times we're quick to say, oh man, this relationship is terrible. But when you're married, it's not as easy as, we're dating and I just decide I don't have to put up with this.
So wonderful said. Thank you for saying that. So now we're going to transition back into having a winning marriage. If you're now just coming on the live, thank you so much for coming in. What we're talking about is how to have a winning relationship in a marriage. So I have a healthy relationship. My marriage is beautiful. I love my wife. I love my husband. But I have a lot of kids. I do have a lot of kids at this moment. How do you keep that romance still going on? Because when you're about to get it in and you know you're about to get it in, all you hear is, Mommy, Daddy, Mommy, Daddy. And then you might have the same problem, but so
absolutely.
One day I might have that problem. But I know I have amazing friends that they have kids. And I know they want to have that romance. So how do you still build that romance when you have a lot of kids?
Yeah. Well, one, you have to create space for dating. I mean, I think it's easy to get caught up in the fact that we have kids. And a lot of people say, hey, I'm going to wait until, the kids leave the house. Well, these days, kids are staying in the house. Well, not kids, but I mean, we're finding that kids are staying in the house, it's 35 and even 40. They're still at home with their parents, just to be honest. You know what I mean? And so we can't wait until the kids leave to then say that, okay, we're going to make this thing work. You have to prioritize your marriage, just like you have to go to work and do the things you have to prioritize. Now, the thing about romance is that a lot of people are sort of kind of grieving the honeymoon
What do you mean?
stages.
Talk about that.
Right? Well, so before the kids came, or like when you were just dating, you just wanted to be with that person all the time. It was easy, right? You didn't have any real responsibilities, maybe bills you didn't have, or maybe you did have bills naturally, but you were dating, so you didn't care. Like you going out to eat all the time, there's always something fun going on, hanging out with friends, it was easy. Then you get married and all of a sudden you're just kind of like, wait a minute, what just happened? Or because now you have bills, right? Now you have responsibilities and it just doesn't seem like the way it used to, right?
So
Right? You
so how do you
you just
communicate
it's
with your
just not
partner
the same.
saying, like you stated, romance? So let's do some context. How do I communicate to my partner saying, because we're doing life together, because we're raising wonderful kids, how do I communicate to my partners like we got to put the romance in still in regards to even step kids, real
You have to be
biological kids?
intentional.
How do we put that romance in it where we're having conversation or we let our do
Yeah,
we have conversations if they're at the appropriate age, like mommy and daddy needs mommy and daddy time, like how do we, or if we have
yeah,
blended family,
absolutely.
like do we still have that conversation with our blended kids, like what do we do?
Yeah. So one, with the children and
Okay.
without the children, we have to be intentional,
Mm-hmm.
regardless. Intentionality is everything. It's easy when it's new. You're motivated, you're excited, but check me when you're tired, when it's been a long day. you're not as motivated. And it's the same concept as of if you're going in the gym and you want to work out. Everybody's motivated for a moment, but our motivation is only based on our feelings, right? And we got to go past that. We have to transition into discipline. And so intentionality is needed when motivation is low, because now it's going to transition into something called discipline. And discipline and being consistently disciplined will cause that romance to continue. How do you do that, Kim? Well, you prioritize date nights. If you don't have money like that, it's okay. You don't need to spend millions and millions of dollars to spend quality time with your partner.
Date night. Okay.
It can, yeah, absolutely. You definitely need a date night.
Okay.
You absolutely have to prioritize that. You need to make sure that you're creating space and time to tell each other that you love each other, to emotionally connect with one another. You ever realize that people tend to have like a lot more conflict when they're stressed out, right? And a lot of people like, oh, our marriage is not working because we're fighting, right? And we're fighting more often. But that's not really the problem. Every relationship, marriage has to some degree some level of disagreement, but you see increased conflict as a symptom of a bigger problem, which is emotional disconnection.
You say some big words right now. Emotional disconnection. Explain that in the marriage therapist world. Explain that, break that down. What does that look like, feel like? So, because somebody might be on this live and it's like, oh shit, like I might be going through this right now. So let me try to let me see what I need to do for myself, or let me build that language. So my goal in this conversation as well is just to give the solution, but to give the language so that someone can go to that individual, to their partner at this moment and say, hey, maybe we're going through this, or maybe this is happening, or maybe, honey, I think I might need some date night on Friday, or I need something to help me out. What can we do this real quick? Can I do this real quick? Hey, kids, mommy and daddy need daddy time. So those are the solutions I'm looking for. So now I want to go into, now we're going to go up a little bit, like that connection part. How do I now build that connections part with my spouse?
So one of the things that's going to be really important to understand here is that connection is the key to any relationship, anyone, right? You need to feel emotionally connected to someone, or in other words, you need to have that safe place. You see how the language is kind of coming back and it's making sense? So beyond solutions, guys, what we need is understanding. Because we always want to fix things. You wonderful, awesome, top shelf men, you just want to, you want to figure it out. You want to understand how to fix the problem. Well, you just have to sort of come back a little bit and get to a place of understanding before you can fix anything. And so when I say emotional connection, what's happening is that you may see that your partner is distant, or your partner is asking you for something, and you're finding that you get this increased conflict, and it's just like, what in the world is going on? We were great. We were good. Right? But back to that honeymoon stage where you used to say, oh, I love you so much. I need you. I want you in my life. We stopped saying those things. We think that our partner is supposed to just automatically already know that. And the reality is that when we're transitioning out of honeymoon and we're trying to figure out how to bring in the romance, how to emotionally connect, well, we're not speaking to people's love languages anymore, because we're just kind of in this, hey, this is life. This is what we got to do. We got to do what we got to do. And then you realize that more than likely you're arguing, there's more conflict, and you're trying to figure out why. Well, it's because you're emotionally disconnected. How do you get connected, right? You do those things like I just talked about. You turn to your partner. You turn to them and say, hey, I love you. I want to spend time with you. I need you. Believe it or not, you may not be a words person, but your partner desperately needs to hear that.
So I want to bring something to your attention. I remember last week, an amazing
Sure.
dancer, amazing black man transitioned because of he was going
Mm.
through thoughts in his mind. His name is Twitch.
Yeah.
His stage name is Twitch, and a very powerful man in his own way, in his own environment. How do you have
Yeah.
that mental health is something that's so important for me, as a black man, as a man, as an educator, as a husband. How do you How do you
Mm-hmm.
communicate to your spouse or husband, wife, when they are having a mental breakdown, or they don't know how to? Like you gave all the solution, but they still don't know how to communicate. How do you help that person?
You help that person by just always just being there, honestly, and encouraging that person to reach out for help. Because I think a lot of the times partners think that you
Yeah.
are all that your spouse needs, and sometimes
Oh,
your spouse doesn't have the capacity potentially to meet you at your mental health challenges. Sometimes, you don't even really know that your partner is going through. Like imagine someone like Twitch, when you see him online, he's always smiling. You have no
mm,
idea what's going on in his mind. And some of us, again, coming back to our culture and how we were raised, that Caribbean culture, there are certain emotions that we don't have permission to feel, or we don't have language. Now, I can't speak to his specific
yeah.
situation, so this is not that type of conversation because we're all unique. We
Mm,
have no idea what was going through his mind. But I do know that vulnerability and joy
mm.
is hard for a lot of
And
folks.
being hard for a lot of folks, understanding what's hard and not. How do I now? I'm now, like we talked about the Friday, we talked about being in that relationship. Now I'm still married, I'm still in a relationship, but how do I still build that
Mhm.
independent time with yourself? We didn't talk about that. We didn't spend
Mhm.
some time on that. So how do I now
Yeah.
build that
And
independent
we
time?
need to.
Because I've always said this. I said this on the IG live. My wife is evolving. I'm evolving independently. We come together. We coexist as
Mhm.
husband and wives. But how do I now build that relationship with myself?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's really important for us to not think about perfection, but a commitment to progression. And that it is our responsibility to do
Yeah.
whatever it is we need to do for ourselves to make sure that we're committed to our own mental health. Now, yes, you have a partner, and yes, you need to hear those affirming words and getting your needs met and all of those things. But there are many instances in our lives where there are certain journeys that you have to kind of take
Can
alone,
you
and your
do that in a
mental health is
marriage?
part of that.
So clarifying
Explain. Clarify.
meaning like you can do this journey by yourself as you go on. You're building that way of mental health. You go into a therapist. You go into
What
your
I mean is
therapist.
this.
You share with your wife. You share with your husband. You share with your
Yes.
partner.
Yes.
So you're just doing this journey, but this
Yes.
journey is like it's kind of by myself. But your wife and your partner is right beside you, but you just have to do this part by yourself.
Yes.
Okay,
And I'll
thank you.
clarify what that means. You can be the
Mm-hmm.
happiest in the happiest of marriages and still feel
Mm-hmm.
very alone. We often make it our partner's responsibility to make us happy when it's not up to
Mm-hmm.
them, it's up to us.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
And I'll
Okay,
just speak for myself.
clarify that, because in the beginning of my marriage, I love being honest, and that's one thing I love about Top Shelf Village, Top Shelf podcast. We are one honest people. I didn't
Yeah.
understand that part. Can you clarify that part? Because a lot of
Mm-hmm.
time people go into marriage or go into relations saying, "You need to make me happy. You need this. You need."
Yeah.
But I've learned, and my wonderful wife has taught me that it starts with yourself. And one thing
Absolutely.
you taught me
100%.
in our pre-marriage counseling is, and one thing is so funny that you said marriage is 100%, 100%. But I was programmed to think it was 50-50. So it's like you bring your 100, I bring my 100, and we are coexisting with each other. So go ahead.
Yeah. So I'll share with a personal story, because I'm not the type of therapist who's like, oh, my whole life is
I'm
just
perfect.
Nobody knows. Listen, I'm far from it. I mean, to be honest with you, my son is outside the door right now, like, mommy.
I told you.
I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you guys. And he's safe, and I'm just kind of like, okay. So am I. So am I. Listen, I'm just trying to be real with y'all. And so is the beginning of the pandemic, and my husband, for I know a lot of you wonderful people on this live, actually, as I'm scrolling. If you guys know my husband, the amazing Jamie Sayers, you can kind of give me a heart emoji or whatever if you know my man. And if you know my man, he is incredible. There is nothing that I can want for or need for that he will make it his business to make it happen for me. Okay? But I find myself in the middle of the pandemic and I'm depressed. Now, he is doing everything and anything he can possibly do, but nothing that he's doing is enough. And one of the revelations that I got during that time is you can be absolutely happily married, but in here, you're alone for whatever reason. And when I realized that he was trying to do everything he possibly could, I realized that I had to take personal responsibility, and I had to go on a soul journey, or I had to go on a healing journey to find out what is going on, Kim. And I'm a therapist. I was a therapist at
not to
that
interrupt you,
time.
but did he know
So I
that
just want to be clear.
like you were going through this right now? Okay.
He understood something wasn't right, but he couldn't understand what was going on. It didn't make sense. I wasn't myself. There are a lot of people in this life who know me, and if you can imagine Kim not meet Kim, then it's just kind of like, whoa, this is weird. And so I really had to do that soul deep dive, and I had to go in there and process and explore what was going on. And my husband, he supported me on that journey.
Yeah.
He was present with me on that journey. But there are certain things, guys, that we have to take personal responsibility for. We have to do our own work. And I think a lot of the times we put that on our partners to do that work for us. And we're setting them up for failure. And it's not fair. Because they're going to try their hardest to see you smile.
That's powerful. Somebody in the chat asked this question. It was like, how do I talk to my partner about my mental health?
Yeah, I think, one, I'm just so grateful for platforms like yourself that sort of kind of really put it out there, especially for our men, that says, hey, it's okay if you're not okay. And so I think more people are getting more wind of that now. And so remember when I said vulnerability is a risk that we all have to take?
Yeah.
We have to believe that our partner, give our partners the benefit of the doubt, that they want what's best for us. And I want you to sit them down and say, babe, I'm not okay. And I don't know what's going on, but I need help. I want to empower you to pick up some courage and do just that.
If we get to that point and we say, I want to go to a married therapist, but my spouse is like, nah, I'm good. What do you do then? Yo, we having a real I don't know, you having a real conversation.
That's always the hard part.
And your baby's knocking on the door. I'm like, come on, give me like 5 more minutes.
I'm about to let him in so y'all can see him real quick, but at the end, because now I'm just kind of like, Lord Jesus. Yeah, I am enough. All
right.
Let me get him.
Once again, guys, while she's doing an amazing job. If you guys are loving what you say, put a flower in the comment. Put a flower in the comment. If you are loving what's going on, we are really having an impactful conversation at this moment. My brother's been having a conversation since last week. Hey, bro, what's going on?
Say hi, Aaron.
We having a family. We having a family edition. We're having a family
Y'all, I'm so
edition right
sorry.
now. So if you are in the chat and if you want to just have a question or anything of that nature, please do me a favor. Put in the chat. There is a question box on the bottom where it has a question sign. We want to be able to answer any questions that you have. So put a flower in the chat because Kimmy's doing an amazing job. And this is what a village looks like. And this is what a gift looks like, Kimmy. Like, she still has to be a mommy, but she still wants to pour into her people. And this is what gifts look like. And we want to say thank you.
You're famous, Ari.
Give me a high. Give me a high.
You want to say hi to everybody?
What up, King? No, don't say sorry. We're a family.
I'm sorry, y'all. Let me apologize. Mama first.
So, Mommy, what makes you? Can you tell me what makes you laugh? Because you have a beautiful smile that lights up the room. What makes you laugh?
What makes me laugh? Oh, you want to show everybody that book? Because it's a good book. Show everybody.
Ooh, that's a good book. See?
You want to show everybody a book?
He talking to the men now.
You know what? Daddy. That is not Daddy.
He's trying to tell us something?
That's so funny. So before I forget, you said, what do I do if my partner doesn't want this book? Yeah, everybody get this book. He's Daddy. That's not Daddy.
So we're not really gonna
Right. So you asked me, what do I do if my partner doesn't want to go to therapy, right? I would love, let me encourage you men who are on here. I know that therapy is uncomfortable. I know you don't know what you're getting yourself into. I know that you were taught, listen, make sure you mind your business and don't let people into your business. Okay? I get it. But therapy can be fun, especially therapy with me. Couples therapy with me is fun, meaning that it doesn't have to be something that you dread. It doesn't have to mean that you're going to be in ball and tears the entire time. But I will charge you, if you married that beautiful woman, and my beautiful wives who are watching, you married that amazing man. You did not marry him to get divorced.
When
they
married 2023, baby.
That was not your intention. Your goal was to live and to thrive and to work and to
have
just have these
good
to
coloring,
live out
if
vision.
you know what I mean, adults. Wink, wink.
Some good coloring. This is how I got in trouble with this one, right?
We have some good coloring in 2023, if you know what I mean.
Listen. And so you did not get married with the intention that it would fail. So I want to empower you to let your pride down, because your pride is causing your marriage to suffer. And so I want you to take this risk and go on a journey and remember, you said I was marrying this person for a reason. I believed in this person's vision for our lives. I believe that this person, we could have conquered the world together. That's not impossible. But I do need your commitment. And I need you to say, you know what? I don't have it within myself to do it on my own. And there are people who are graced with and anointed to do this work with you, to walk hand in hand with you. I tell a lot of my couples when they come, because I get them in different places. I get the couples who are super, super excited because they're, the rose-colored glasses in premarital counseling. Those are some of my favorites, right? And then I get them on the other end where I'm your last resort. I am your last resort, right? And I tell my couples who have no hope or no faith, I understand that you don't have hope or faith right now. Let's just be real. We are believers. We love Jesus. But some of us know that we're in marriages that it just feels too hard. and we have lost hope. We have lost all faith that what we have built is going to work. And that's my job, to hold that hope and hold that faith for you while we do this good hard work, so that that hope and that faith can be restored. So I'm pleading with you guys to, and women, well, you know what? Yeah, women also, because I have these fabulous wives on here. Men and women, I am pleading with you to remember your vows, and remember that you had a vision for your marriage. And I would say it's not over until you've tried everything. And sometimes that marriage counselor is your last resort.
Kimmy, you've said so much powerful things. I have like a whole list of pages, notes, and everything. Like I have like a whole note. Like I took notes.
So faithful.
I feel enough. I see my boy, my king, up over there. So I want to give you this opportunity to plug yourself in. Teray did say if you have any group sessions, I think, hey, if you do, let me know. If you have any marriage retreats coming up, please plug that in. But I want to claim that you are doing an amazing job. You are juggling everything, and I just want to give you your flowers. From my brothers, Top Shelf Village, from my brothers, Top Shelf Production, Fred and Jeff, we just want to give you so much flowers. We just want to say thank you. So if you want,
so much.
Please plug yourself in. Where can we find you? What's coming up next? And we want you to be back on. Like, I want to.
I would love to come back on. You know, I can talk about this stuff for
I want
hours.
to talk about
You
more
know,
about
once I start, I can't.
but that's a different topic. I want to talk about coloring for 2023.
All I will say is get your markers and color. Coloring is good for you. Yep. Coloring is so good, right? Coloring is so
Please, if you're in the chat right now, you just came in.
You know what?
Please.
Coloring prevents cancer. Coloring brings in those feel-good hormones. Okay?
In and out.
Color, people. Color.
Where can they find you? Where can they, like, where can they find you?
Absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram primarily at I am Kim Sayers. My website is KimberlySayers.com. I have a marriage retreat that I am planning. Wink, wink. And I would love to see all of you beautiful couples there. It's coming down the pipeline. There are just so many things going on in my life right now that I would love to share. For example, but I have to get permission to do that first. For example, why is this little boy up way past his bedtime? And where is my other half? And that's an announcement for another day. But actually, you know what? I'm going to share. Only because it's exclusive and nobody really knows this. But you know what? I love Top Shelf. I think you guys are awesome. And I want to teach some of you guys something. My husband has decided to change his career. All right. And one of the things that I want us to always know, that as our partner's biggest supporters, sometimes it's okay to allow our partners to reach their dreams. Sometimes a dream does not have to be deferred for long, or a dream doesn't have to transfer from deferred to dead. You know what I mean? And my husband and his fabulous self is currently in Orlando in flight school, because he is training to become a pilot. And I have not said that publicly anywhere.
But anyways.
And so I want to encourage you guys to know that a healthy, secure marriage is what you're looking for in 2023. And part of that means that you will support each other while you chase your dreams. He supported me while I chased my dream to become a marriage and family therapist, and now I'm supporting him. And it's not impossible. Now it's going to take some hard work, right? Because we did the hard work to build vulnerability. We did the hard work to build safety with each other. We did the hard work to lay the foundation that says, I love you, I trust you. And I love what you're doing for our family. And so I want to encourage everyone to know that when you are in a healthy, safely secured relationship or marriage, that is your goal for 2023. It takes a lot of work, but it's not impossible. And I want to encourage you all to know that you can absolutely be in wonderful, securely attached relationships where you both feel absolutely safe emotionally. And I always say this, if you're not, when you are emotionally connected to a safe partner, there's nothing in this world that you can't do. No dream is deferred. But when we don't, you show them off my headphones, but when we don't tend and build that emotional connection, here we go with that word again, that emotional safety, your dreams are going to take a lot longer. You need your partner to chase your dreams. You absolutely do. You absolutely do. Good. And when you just got married, you believe that that person had everything you needed to be who you wanted to be in life. Don't be distracted. Do the work.
I have so many more questions, but I want to respect time. I want to say thank you so much. One thing. Oh, wait. It is Top Shelf Tuesday tomorrow. We have a podcast dropping. Please make sure we have a if you are in this chat, make sure one thing you do, give Kimmy her flowers. Put a flower in the comment. Please put a flower.
Thank you,
she did an amazing job. I see about 20 people on this live. Make sure you give her flowers. We do have Top Shelf. We have Top Shelf Tuesday tomorrow. We're dropping an amazing episode. But you can find us on these streaming platforms. You can find us on Anchor, Stitcher, Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, Google. You can also find us on The Top Shelf Podcast. And especially, we are on YouTube. So if you know, just make sure you comment, please. Make sure you leave those comments because we want to see those numbers go up. We love you, Kimmy. But before we normally do a word of the week, I want you to do an affirmation word. What's an affirmation word or an affirmation phrase that you have? So one thing that I tell my kids, when before they leave my classroom, I say, I am powerful. I am powerful. So what is something that you is your favorite tagline? And if you could put in the chat, what is your favorite affirmation that you tell yourself? So one thing I tell myself is I am powerful, I'm a voice, and I am a community.
What? Oh my gosh, there's so many right now. What is a good one? Which one should we use today?
Ooh, that quote? Ooh, I like that one.
Let's see. Which one are we going to use today? Okay, you know what? Instead of like,
and it could be a word if you want
an affirmation per se. Can I leave y'all with a quote that I think stirs me?
Please.
Can I leave you with that? So we were talking about relationships. We're talking about 2023. How to be in a thriving, winning relationship, right?
And yourself.
Family, friends, everything. And I'm going to leave you guys with this because I want to empower you guys towards action. I don't want my words to just be like, oh, this was a really good podcast. Kim was great. She talked about some really good things that made me think about it. But then it just stays here. I believe that Top Shelf is here to transform lives naturally, right? But we can't transform if we don't do nothing. Okay. And so I want to leave you guys with this. Now, I can't give myself credit for these words, but these words come from Marshawn Evans Daniels. She says, no action, no traction. Inspiration without implementation is a figment of your imagination. Don't just imagine you wanting a good marriage. Go ahead, or a good relationship, good friendship. It is just inspiration, right? But if you have put no action to the words that you've heard, so that might mean, you know, having a conversation with your partner and just kind of tell them how much you love them, how much you need them, how much you want them around. It could be, hey,
Bless
babe,
you,
you know
King.
what? Bless you. I am I'm so sorry that I turned down your offer to go into marriage counseling. You want to go to marriage counseling because you want this relationship to work. You want us to be happy together. Yes or yes? Absolutely. I want to empower all of you wonderful men and beautiful women to know that no action, no traction. Inspiration without implementation is just a figment of your imagination.
This was powerful. This was beautiful. Remember, we dropping an episode tomorrow. Top Sale Tuesday. You can find us on all streaming platforms: Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Anchor, YouTube, Amazon Music, Spotify, Google Podcast. And also, make sure you go to our website. We do have a website, topsalepodcast.com. We love you, Kimmy. Kimmy, we want to know when your book is coming out. We want to know when your podcast is coming out. It could be under our Top Sale production. But anyway, we'll talk about that offline. We love you.
There's so much coming down the pipeline. Thank you so much for having us,
Also,
Anthony.
Michael Todd, if you want to be a sponsor, let me know.
You know what, for real. Plugging everywhere.
No problem.
But thank you so much, Anthony, for having me. I believe in what you guys are doing. I think this is powerful. It's transformative. And I think a lot more men need to be plugged into this platform because, you know, a lot of the times men don't really have the spaces to feel safe. And I believe that this is such a beautiful, safe place for men. And so I just want to applaud you and your fabulous associates on the wonderful work that you guys are doing. I am so proud of y'all.
So we love you.
So proud of y'all.
Have a good night.
Good night. Say good night.
Good night.